everybody. This is going to be the last meeting of the security working group of Node.js for October, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, that's it. So welcome everybody. First thing in the agenda, do we have any announcements to make? I think there is one announcement to make. If I'm not mistaken, we didn't say that in the previous recorded session, which is basically that is my Node.js vulnerable now is part of the Node.js organization, so we really aim to everybody to start using it. I just need to use npx, and you can figure it out if your Node.js version is vulnerable or not, which you can easily add to your CI, and that can help you preventing deploying things with vulnerable versions of Node.js. But yeah, we are looking also for feedback on that. So whoever is watching this, you are more than welcome to tell us what do you think about it. So yeah, I think that's yeah.
I'm just trying to find it to add the link.
Yeah, I can try to find it. Let me see. Yeah, actually, I think in maybe still be under Rafael's
Yeah, it might
organization.
be a work in progress.
Yeah, I think the migration is kind of work in progress, but yeah, is there so far? I think also Rafael is like adding support for really legacy versions of Node.js as well, not just the current ones. So you might be able to look for Node.js 10 or stuff like that if you are using old versions of Node.js. I know index that who is using this version, please try great, but you can still using this tool, so it's going to be good. So yeah, I think like in terms of the agenda for today, I think first topic will be to have vulnerability reviews.
Yeah, take a quick look. There's not really any new issues there. So I don't think there's any updates on that front.
Fantastic. I think the next one is to talk about the OpenSSF scorecard. I have some issues running the scorecard earlier, so probably we'll do that after the meeting and see if there is anything. I will just bring that on the issue or in the PR, so we can do that after that. So it will happen. I will add a note. It will happen after the meeting. Okay. Yeah, I think okay, it will happen after the meeting. Okay, basically, let's see what we have for the agenda today. I think we don't have like the agenda fully generated, but I can
Yeah, I
guess.
think for some reason, I don't know, the tooling, which I partially wrote, is a little flaky. So, or the queries to it's probably a combination of the queries to the GitHub is sometimes answered differently, and anyway, the code isn't written to do that, so it didn't populate fully today. So maybe we
Yeah.
can just look at the things that are tagged. I'm just adding one, which I have a little bit of an update on. If I can get it into the minutes there. Paste without formatting. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is 1037. So related to, I'm sure I've mentioned in the past, was looking a little bit about improving how we build the WASM binaries that go into Node. Just making sure we know what tools, what levels, and we discussed in this group and issues that we wanted to like create a common container and use that common container to build all of the different binaries that WASM binaries that go into Node. I made some progress on that. I'm not sure if I mentioned the last time, but I have the containers. I have a repo. I opened it since the last time, and actually in the admin repo and request to move that over to the org. And so it will be building and the containers, and I've talked to the maintainers of the 3 dependencies. They all seem on board. So once that gets moved over, I'll start by opening PRs to make the dependencies use those. And so that'll sort of be one step in, the container records exactly what versions of the tools that it uses. And we'll have a stored container, so we can always reuse that same container version to rebuild. So it should make a step towards better knowing what they are based on the documentation, but also being able to repeat it using the same container.
Yeah, that's a great update. I mean, it's been a big progress, honestly. Yeah, having to the support already for containers is like a good thing. So yeah, start to see
Yeah,
JSON
a
would be
lot
great.
of credits due to the Indici team because they put together like their workflow already builds a container and then uses that to build their WASM. So I sort of leverage that, but yeah, it's nice to see it sort of go the extra step.
That's nice. I think next topic for us to discuss is going to be related to the abort when vulnerable flag, which I'm not sure if we have some updates due the forum right now.
I think
Um,
my understanding is kind of that Raphael was no longer thinking of like including that in Node itself, but like moving, as you mentioned before, like moving is my Node vulnerable to repo within the org. Um, but I think that was the last update, and I don't know that there's anything more since that.
yeah, I will add a note on that to separate repo. I will add like to be confirmed just to be sure that we don't mess up on the notes. But yeah, if I remember well, also I think we are aligned on that. Yeah, my my guessing is very similar, Michael, on that sense. So yeah,
Yep.
seems like a good idea. Yeah, let's see. Automate a security release process. Not sure if without Rafael we have some updates on this right
Yeah,
now.
I don't think I've heard any updates on that, but I know that, the ongoing work with the every security release that happens, they
Yeah,
improve that a few more things.
yeah, yeah. We can see for sure that is ongoing, and probably not the forum to discuss this today.
Yep.
So I guess the next thing for us is to jump into the threat model, unless we want to discuss on other things first. Do we have any additional topic?
I don't think we have any other topics. I'm wondering, like on the threat model, do we want to jump into that just the two of us, or wait to a meeting where we have a few more people?
I think maybe worth waiting to having more people. Um, or more people that are having diverse background in terms because Joan, you and I were in the same more or less working groups and stuff, so we might get a super close vision to build and release and stuff like that rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah, I always
yeah,
think like three is a good minimum number to get different
yeah,
views of things. So maybe let's just skip that for this week and
yep, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah. Something that was mentioning maybe, well, even if we don't have the forum, but as we can have like optional things in the security working group in the OpenJS Foundation, we
yep,
having is discussing a little bit about the security program standards. Let me share you a link, which is the issue 211 in the OpenJS Foundation Security Collab space. I passed the link on the chat, Michael,
yep.
so you can have a look.
Okay.
Basically, Hannah Copper and out of we have worked there, they're also providing input to the idea. So we have like good documentation, which stands for what is expected to achieve on these, and also we have some kind of an Excel, but using the Google format basically. And the idea there is more or less to have some kind of alignment in terms of what we should achieve. So let me see. So we have like the document here, and we have the chat sheet here, so we can just take the opportunity to share this. Let me pass you the link. So this is the main document. Basically, it's still in a draft version. The idea basically is to consolidate, guides that we see from the scorecard, best
Yep.
practices batch, CNCF 2 or 3 programs that are also related to software quality, these kind of things. And the idea is to consolidate that. So basically, we have this huge Excel. That basically represent what is expected to be accomplished in terms of projects. So depending on the level that you are in the foundation, basically, if you are at large project or incubating or impact project or whatever, you are required to more or less things, but there are stuff that is going to be in common, right? Like for example, having a second factor authentication in GitHub at least, and things like that. Or there might be optional depending on the size or depending on the nature of the project, right? For example, not everybody has dependencies on binaries and things like that, so we can skip some of those. But the idea here is probably it's going to be like Express doing the pilot program on this and trying to digest, basically because most of the Express security team also is there involved. But I think it
Right.
makes sense from this working group to have a look into that and to see how we implement. Our idea is like to see what happened and try to document also all the steps, for example, like if we're talking about the second factor authentication for GitHub. So the idea there is like to do an estimation and to, add some resources of stuff that we discover on the way, notes. So the idea is to make it easier for the next maintainers to just, finish with the checklist basically. Yeah, in our case, we have already the second factor authentication, obviously, just for the people watching this, but in general, there are plans of plenty things like that, like code quality things, strategies for, refresh dependencies automatically, these kind of things, right? So
Yep.
there's like a bunch of things here. But yeah, I just wanted to share this. We think it's a good forum, even if it's just the two of us. But for anyone who is watching this, it's going to be like a nice initiative. Part of the final output of this is to have some kind of a website, a statical website using Docusaurus or something like that, which you can basically have the information of how this works. And then you have a lot of sections of, okay, I should accomplish this task. And you have the information there, who should accomplish what, and a lot of references, ideas, and stuff, and experience from others, basically. So that way we can collaboratively grow and try to accomplish more things. But overall, honestly, seems like a very long list. So probably we need to
Right.
reduce a lot of things and try to see what is like the most critical or not. But yes, this pro to see how it happens. So one who is interested in practical terms. So in the Express Security Working Group, that is pretty much following what we have learned in Node.js Security Working Group. We are just basically copycat the ideas and strategies. We are starting with that. So everybody is more than welcome to those sessions and see what happens. So far, we are meeting like once a month, and we just started the first meeting last week. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to like I think it would be a good initiative. I don't know if it's the right time. Like maybe it's best to wait till like Express goes through it, but like at some point I definitely think it would be good for the Node project to go through and see how the things apply.
Yeah.
Both because like you did your work with the OSSF checklist, like it's always good to highlight like, well, should we at least it makes you think about the things and maybe you fix things.
Yeah.
Um, so it'd be good for us to go through that as another like, hey, here are some things that maybe we should think about, as well as some feedback to the collaboration space. So
Yep.
I think it's a good idea. The only question would be like, who's going to have some cycles to actually do it? Because as you said, it's a bit of
Yep.
a long list, but I think that's good work. And definitely, yeah, I'm super supportive if we can find some people to
Yep.
help drive that in the Node project. And probably you're the best one who can tell us like, yeah, now's a good time to start, or
Or
let's wait
not.
till see how Express does
Yeah.
first. I don't know on that front.
Yeah, I think we might wait a little bit until Express start
Yeah.
to have an idea and see what happens. But yeah, if we see a lot of low hanging fruits, maybe it's a good option for Node to start taking advantage of that. So yeah, but definitely I think one of the big difference here for us in comparison to, for example, when we adopted the OpenSSF scorecard and stuff like that, is going to be like we have the foundation level kind of agreement saying like, look, this is what we consider for our project, right? So basically we have our own to-do list that we can
Yeah.
negotiate and adapt to ourselves much better than a generic big one, right? So that's going to help us a lot, I think.
Yeah. Our
Yeah,
feedback hopefully can be more
yeah,
easily integrated, is what you're saying. If we're like, this is just impractical, hopefully we
yeah.
can, yeah, it's definitely easier
Exactly.
to have.
This is
Yeah.
like nice to have, but super impossible to have, right? Yeah, I think a lot of
Exactly. Yeah.
immutability builds and stuff like that, which
Right.
it's tricky for Electron, it's tricky for Node, maybe not for NPM projects, right? So, yeah, it's this kind of things like having
Yeah.
nice granularity for us. Yeah, so that's very good. Okay, yeah, I think that was the only kind of off topic that I have
Yeah.
aside of that. And as we said before, we're going to skip the discussion on the threat model today, do the forum.
Yep.
So basically, I think that's all for today's meeting, and we are like restoring 35 minutes, so
Yep.
that's always good.
Yep.
Um, yeah, nice to see you, and nice to see you
Okay.
all
Yeah.
who is
Nice
watching
talking to
this.
you, and talk to you again soon. Thanks.
Okay, see you again.
Bye.
Bye bye.